Hey y'all, I'm Mary.
And I'm Carla.
And we're the Smiley Twins. And we are back for another podcast episode. Or as my husband continually tells me, it's not a podcast if it's a video. And I'm like, a video podcast?
You could listen to it while you are doing something and not watch it.
I'd argue that's better. In fact, do that. Yeah, probably better.
Yeah, no need to watch us sit here.
No. Okay, this week we have been hard at work. I have been, oh my gosh, dedicated for the last 5 days, I swear, my life to building, making this YouTube look prettier. So hopefully the thumbnails are pretty. Feedback welcome. And then getting our Patreon up and running. The Patreon, we...
Tell them what Patreon is, because a lot of people don't know.
Okay, well, it's just like, what? Patreon's like a place where you can go and subscribe to somebody, or we put some free stuff on there. The free stuff is kind of like what you see on Instagram and stuff, basically. And then if you subscribe to it, we're giving everything, like so much stuff, from full clinical injection videos, as many as quickly as I can take them, and the ones that I've taken that are good enough. And then, of course, clinical tips and advice, and then business, all sorts of business videos and tips and documents, and we're doing policies and procedures, consents, and then a huge value add is Courtney, our chief legal officer and the head of our legal team, obviously is also on there, and she is making compliance videos, and we'll have state-specific stuff.
Advice.
I was going to say that. State-specific advice. We're going to put just all sorts of stuff we find from trusted sources like Bernadetto and blogs and stuff that we feel like are really trusted sources, and just try to make it more, Carla said it best earlier today, make it more digestible.
Yeah, because even the free stuff like from Instagram and stuff, it's kind of hard to get through some of the silly stuff. I mean, it's nice to have it all in one place.
Yeah,
so
there won't be this is not a lot of
silly stuff.
This is all very relevant stuff to opening your own med spa, running your own med spa, and owning your own med spa, or just as an injector. It's applicable, for the clinical videos, I hope, and just growing in that regard. So we think it's going to be super valuable. Feedback, as we always say, is so welcome. So we're putting some of these podcast episodes on there. Those you'll be able to see on the free side of it. But still, we're just really trying to marry the YouTube and the Patreon, but keep the What?
Nothing.
What? Keep the podcast, or keep YouTube with the podcast. I'm going to start uploading some clinical videos to YouTube as well.
I think every fourth word you say is
Oh. So today we're going to talk about, go subscribe to our Patreon. It's just Smiley Aesthetics.
Also, we'll say it at the end too, because it's a shameless plug. We've gotten a lot of feedback on this podcast. A lot of people reach out, which is great. It's a lot of fun, mostly positive stuff, or just suggestions or whatever topics, things like that. But please, if you watch it or if you're listening to it right now, it just takes nothing to share it. If you find value in it at all, you enjoy it at all, or you've listened to more than one episode, it's like you came back. So we would appreciate it. People to share it.
It's so easy now with the share button.
Just hit share if you don't care, and say something nice or mean, and maybe whatever.
We had a really nice comment on one episode. Miss Rhonda left it. It was very nice. Okay. So we are now I'm just going to say it all the time. Today we're going to talk about services.
Yes.
So this is going to be about what services to start with, kind of how once again, it's kind of what we did, because we do feel like what we did worked well, but then just going through, there's a million different services that can be offered in a med spa. We said in a previous episode how starting out, keeping a menu simple is such a good piece of advice. You don't need to start with offering a million different things.
But we have learned things that we could have potentially offered starting out. Now that we know what we know. I mean, starting out with just Botox is great.
Sure, but then it also depends on overhead and what you want to invest in initially. So we have this whole low overhead model, starting out mobily or renting, a space or a room. And in that instance, we are huge proponents of starting pretty small. So for us, we started out with mobile Botox. We added on the collagen that we still use today and absolutely love. And that was all we did, like we've said before. Then we added on some filler, I think, before the model was actually born.
I think from a business perspective, what's the most important thing, and then we'll start into the services, is that a lot of the stuff that we're about to talk about, a lot of the services we're going to mention, are things that you can order from, by example, Allergan. That's a lot of, we'll talk about that, and they come the next day. So you can still keep your overhead very low while offering some more things than just Botox starting out, is what I'm saying. No, machines and stuff are different, but I just mean like from an injectable perspective, you can do some things, and then you don't have to buy things in bulk, and you don't, from certain companies. Some companies you do, but we'll go through each service and talk about it.
So, it's really like injectable heavy stuff and then kind of machine stuff. Those are like the two. And then you can kind of get over here in the esthetician facial world and like different types of facials. But even that, I kind of argue, can sometimes fall over with this machines like IPL facials and stuff. So with the injectables, like Carla said, adding stuff on based on your skill level and what you've been trained in is pretty simple with these companies because you don't have to place huge orders. With Botox, you can get as little as one bottle at a time. Now you pay a shipping charge, but one vial at a time, and then you can order arguably as many as you want. And then filler, it's the same thing. I think it's a minimum of 3 boxes from Allergan, and then you get to lose the shipping charge, which we're all about keeping overhead low and what can I do to even drop that $25 shipping. However, you don't have to, if you have one lip filler client on the books for that month, you can just buy the one box. And I'm a huge proponent though of having something on hand. So when we still say 3 vials minimum on hand of your neurotoxin, because you just don't know when a client's gonna DM you or text you if you're mobile or walk in or whatever, an unexpected appointment, and it really sucks to have to push them up, and you can arguably lose them. Sometimes those clients are trying to get it done that day because they may have an event or something or for some reason to get it. So keeping a product or two on hand is always smart, but to Carla's point, it's just not, buying in bulk is unnecessary, especially starting out. And so
let's kind of go service by service.
Sure.
And and some of it is telling people, I think there's more than just aesthetic people watching this. So kind of what the service is, what it means, what it does, just a little bit.
There's probably not more than aesthetic people watching this.
Maybe. Was Miss Rhonda an aesthetic injector?
Yes.
Oh.
Yeah. Okay,
Sorry.
so that's fine.
Neurotoxin.
Neurotoxins, yeah.
Yeah, I mean.
So there's several different types of neurotoxins. Sorry, keep going.
No, go. You just keep going.
This is my wheelhouse for sure. So several different types of neurotoxins.
Can I go over here? I'll sit here.
And they're offering, you'll see some med spas that offer every single one of them. So they offer, the Jeuveau, the Botox, the Xeomin, the Dysport, now Daxxify, all 5 different neurotoxins, what to choose from. That, for sure, to me, is extremely unnecessary. Not to get into the training too much, but they're all serotype A neurotoxins. Daxxify is a little bit different, but a client looking at that list would not have any idea which neurotoxin typically they want to choose. So I kind of stand by maybe offering 2. We have only offered Botox for the entire time we've been open, and it's gone swimmingly, I think.
Yeah, and from a business perspective, we've talked, I think, before about loyalty, and that everything we talk about today comes into that. Do you have loyalty with a company? By example, we're loyal to Allergan, so there are rewards and benefits in ways that your profit margin continues to widen the busier you get and the more product you buy. So if you're offering 2 different talks, then you are pretty much going to spend twice as much time trying to make your profit margins get wider. That being said, someone might argue, well, what if someone wanted Dysport and I don't offer it, then I'm losing that client. I could spread that profit margin out, and we could see how those compare. We think we've only lost. Now, we can't know the ones we've lost who see that we only offer Botox, but of the ones that have reached out and asked about Dysport and we don't have it, that has only happened maybe, 2 or 3 times.
Less
in our
than
existence. It has happened. It's just been, and we've had a couple true, which are super rare resistance to one tox or another that come either for Botox because they can't get Dysport or vice versa. So that happens, but again, it seems so limited, and I don't have the hard numbers to back it up, but I would definitely argue and be happy to stand behind the growth in tiers and relationship with Allergan was well worth it versus who we could have lost because we don't offer Dysport, and then education plays such a huge role in that.
Yeah, and I mean we don't advertise that we only offer Botox too much, so I think people I argue we don't, I don't think we lose any clients, like she said, over even that. And then I can count on one hand how many since we started Smiley that I personally have lost. There might be a few.
And then we also educate them on
on the
people who
differences.
think there's a big difference.
Yeah, it's more about the injector and how it's injected, how it's reconstituted, and those types of things that make the differences in the spread and all that stuff versus the actual neurotoxin itself. I was going to say something else. Oh, neurotoxin that is an injectable that this kind of applies. It's a little bit different when you get into the other stuff because you do ultimately want to do what's best for your client, but I really stand by that, like, I don't think I'm treating my clients any better or worse by only providing Botox. And then, so moving on into dermal fillers. So there are different types of dermal fillers with different types of technologies in them. We do only offer Juvederm, but Juvederm is FDA approved for 96% of the face. So I can truly treat my client appropriately based on where I'm treating them with the products that the Juvederm line offers. There are, Restylane does offer, Galderma has the kind of Restylane line and stuff, and they have a bunch of different ones. But in terms of offering like some of the other dermal fillers that are approved in the United States, but there's not much, there's like one or two, and they mimic or do the same thing that kind of the Juvederm line does. So for all the same business reasons that she said for sticking with that one product under Allergan, and then for me clinically and doing what's best for my patient, I do feel I do what's best because I choose the product based on the rheology and what's best for them. So,
and from a business side on dermal filler, because there are so many different options. If you're a brand new injector, we heavily stand on you should learn the basics of lips and then get comfortable with the needle, then go back for an advanced training and learn anatomy and all that kind of stuff before you really get into a full face. But let's imagine you're somebody who's coming out of a med spa, starting your own business. Another way of keeping overhead low, filler really applies because it is expensive, especially when you're starting out. So to buy a box of every kind of filler, I don't think is necessary on the front end. That's one of those things where it's how you respond to a client. Most people, I would argue everybody, is not waking up and saying, I want cheeks today. This is the only option for me. Not at all, actually. I don't think that's the case. So you have time to order that from probably any manufacturer and get that within the reasonable amount of time to get it to your client. If it's Allergan, it's typically the next day.
Yeah, and so 1 to 2 days on one for Allergan overnight typically, and then I'm pretty sure even Galderma is 2 day on a 2 day shipping thing.
So you don't have to purchase those outright.
And then also before you move on, it's also a good time to educate. If they call you and want cheeks the same day, did you have ibuprofen recently in the past 2 days? Did you drink alcohol? You can always use that as an excuse, as a little tip of
or I'm full.
Yeah, or I'm sorry today. Yeah, that's even better
That's
from a business. Look at us.
This
is where this separates. Like, like you can use those kind of clinical things. Of let's make sure that you don't use ibuprofen for the next few days and don't.
Or I just don't have any availability.
Or I'm fully booked until whenever's a great answer too.
Yeah. I just and you don't have to people do have issues in marketing and stuff with lying, and I'm all about using words appropriately in marketing because marketing is one big lie.
Well, hopefully no one who likes marketing is.
Well, in this instance, it's if you're not fully booked, or maybe you have one Botox appointment, that's all you're planning on doing the next 2 days, then you are fully booked.
Or it's about the verbiage. I don't have any availability. Can be related to the fact that I don't have any filler.
Or I don't have any availability.
I don't have any availability because I don't have any filler, but you don't have to add on the because.
You're still telling the truth, so.
Just cut it short. Anyhow, so neurotoxins and dermal filler. And then, you get, neurotoxin is very basic. There are advanced areas, of course, in learning. Once you get your feet wet, which it's just like there's a lot of providers who want to dive in and offer it all, and this is kind of why we're talking about this today. So, like she said, we're huge proponents of we do FDA approved full face Botox and the basic training and lips, and then we don't even some people do cheeks in those trainings, and we do not. We just stick to the lips and that. It's a lot of information. It's brand new to most people, and then we hope that you can stick with that with Smiley, or even for anybody. You do that, get your feet wet, get the nerves gone, because everyone is nervous when they first doing it. I don't care how long you've been a nurse, how long you've been a physician, I don't care. Get your feet wet, and then do some more. My husband's calling me twice in a row, like it's an emergency. Excuse me. Hey, we're filming a podcast.
Okay. Where's the vacuum?
You just asked me.
Vacuum canister for this hardwood floor cleaner.
I'm not sure, but I'm literally filming a podcast. We're in the middle, 20 minutes in. Can I call you back?
Sure.
Thank you.
That is a perfect representation of a husband-wife relationship. We have a strict rule. I think a lot of people do. The whole call me once, call me twice. It is like, I need you to call me back as soon as possible. And then 3 times is like there's blood or someone's dying. And so he calls her twice in a row.
I'm
And
speechless.
you probably couldn't, maybe they could hear that. He goes, where's the vacuum?
I am speechless, and I'm like looking over at our
And she
marketing
told
director,
him-
like, you need to pull this out of this
She
clip and make it a reel
literally-
because
yes.
I
She
am
literally
filming
told
a
him, I'm in the
podcast.
middle of filming a podcast. He goes, yeah, okay, so where's the vacuum?
That just
so-
happened. Like, I feel like it's like,
That is the definition that, like, I hate, okay, so I hate falling into societal norms of like what social media has told us, which is some of these husband things.
Well, but
it's
some of them are-
true.
like, I don't, like,
You definitely have to pull
I know,
that out of this
I literally
podcast.
do not, I'm like speechless. Okay. So,
Dermal fillers,
Yeah.
and the fact that, and it's a really solid point that needs to be heard. No matter what, no matter if you, I don't care if you are a trauma ICU lead nurse,
CRNA,
in a
you're poking
trauma
spinal
1 facility,
cords, yeah.
a level 1 facility, you are going to be nervous putting an insulin needle into someone's face.
yeah, and
Or
a
filler into
yeah,
someone's face.
as you should be. And so we will always put in plugs for training and stuff. I mean, the amount of training that I've in this month alone with Allergan, I think I'm on my 3rd training next week, and it's cadaver and live, hands-on, and there's two-day other one. So never stop learning, never stop training. Those of us that are experts in the field, we're not expert in anything. We're still learning, and so that's just, I stand by that so much. There's too many unique faces. There's billions of people in the world, and we're all unique, so there's no way that we can know it all. But services, Botox and like lip filler, even in the med spa that I started in 5 years ago, that's all we started with, injectable-wise. Like, I just did Botox and lip filler because I hadn't been trained on the other, and I was super nervous to do it, and we didn't offer it, and so that's a great place to start for injectables. Then start building from there. So instead of going too much into the different services, it's more like that's a great place to start. Maybe that's kind of obvious. And then there's biostimulators and stuff like Sculptra.
Yeah, no, I think those are, I'm not talking about those necessarily when I say you can offer other things, but like to have on your menu, instead of just 2 things, I think you can have on your menu like a B12 shot. Or something that's very simple.
Well, sure, we're going to go through those stuff.
That's what I mean by that. Not necessarily having, Skin Vive and Derma plus HA filler. Like, you're not
I
even
think
ready
you're
for
saying
that.
like Botox, Dysport, whatever. Juvederm, da-da-da-da-da.
Yeah.
Like having all the different brands of each service.
So
and
I'm
then,
saying that along with all the service types. I think
Yeah.
there's a
So I
combination
think,
of both.
for example, like so that might be your full injecting menu starting out. Or maybe you add in a vitamin B12 shot as the 3rd injectable that you offer. And my point is that, like, okay, so biostimulators, a Sculptor and a Radiesse, those are really utilize advanced techniques anyway in most of the places that we put those. So, set those aside over here. You don't, and then the biggest thing, getting trained on all of this before you even start so that you can offer all of it is also, it's so much about getting your feet wet and then growing as you grow as a provider is, in my opinion, how you're the most successful. It also gives you the best results, and it's also the safest thing for your client. All of the things that are very important. So I guess my full thing for injectables, like, a neurotoxin and a dermal filler is a great place to start, and then adding on and learning about some of these other things, because quite frankly, once again, you get in the industry and what the hell is Sculptor and what the hell is Radiesse and Derma and some of these things, and so adding them slowly as you grow and become a better provider. We're over a year and a half in now, and we recently added Sculptor on in the summer, and then we're adding on like a PRP kind of type of filler called Derma here soon. After we're going to a conference at the end of this week in Phoenix, and I'm training on it. She's my model. And so
Maybe.
like that's how, and then we do have like a B12 and stuff, but injectable wise, that's it. We don't, Botox, Juvederm, Sculptra, and we're going to have Derma, and then we have some vitamin injections, and like, that's pretty much it. So like stuff like that is, and I can do everything, so many things to the face and stuff that I think benefit my client. So we grow slow, we add services on when we're super comfortable with the previous service, and then being mindful that we don't have to have a stock of 100 boxes of filler. It looks really cool on Instagram, not a good business decision. They also have expiration dates, so just, kind of being aware of that. So other than injectable, then you get into like the laser service. Stay with me here. The laser service, laser services. Let's just talk really quick about like, and I mean this, I love anyone that's watching this that's a rep, but I mean, everyone offers the world. Their device is
the
special.
best.
It's the first of its
newest
kind.
technology.
It's never been done
The
before.
studies are
I mean, it's just
fantastic.
like, it's absolute.
Yeah.
It's just amazing, innovative technology. I bet there is a piece, a screw, a nut, a bolt in there that is top notch and is brand new. But
or they could use something that's a
Sure.
little different, but ultimately,
it's like just, you can literally. Somebody had told us in the past year that they were $1 million in debt for laser stuff, and like, it's just
Yikes.
in their one location, their one med
that's
spa.
what else they do. This is a $150,000 machine, but let me tell you how you will pay it off in 3 months,
2 weeks.
1 day.
Your event,
You've
your
already
launch
paid it
event,
off.
yeah.
You're
You know what? Yeah,
You're
don't
just
even think
thinking
about it.
the device,
It's-
and you've already paid it off.
Oh my God, it's crazy. So the launch event's
I'm
gonna
like-
sell $75,000. That's our average, and it's like, okay, but if that were true of every single device ever sold to a med spa, I don't know why. I mean, every med spa would survive. I don't understand why any med spa is ever closing.
Well,
because,
and I always pick their top, 3 examples, and it's like, yeah, those are the top 3. Y'all heard me on the last podcast. I love a bell curve. I love a bell curve.
I mean, it's like, it's just.
Everyone pretty much falls.
And then
right
for
in
the
between
record,
in the
and
middle.
Carla think is a little dramatic on this with me. I am kind of a sucker to this. Not a sucker, but because I'm not a sucker to it. But when something comes in, I love like trying things, and I love like,
Okay.
and I love when things work. She's like, every rep that comes in, oh my God.
Until I told you this.
Okay, that was in
every rep
February.
okay, but every
We'd not even been in business for a year, and that was not true. I was in Knoxville. It's not even the same city as her.
Very excited about everybody.
Not even the same city as her.
She's very excited. Very
just because I get excited clinically, that makes me a nerd. That doesn't make me naive to reps. Also, anyways, and for the record, I've been super right. You're welcome, Eric. Love you. Okay, so, but devices. Really, this little spiel is I'm going to focus on what we just did. They're going to come in. It's going to be awesome. You're going to get a free treatment. The whole staff might get treated, or you yourself.
Take those rep.
Yeah, sure.
Take those rep meetings and lunches.
Get to know them, learn about the technology, and then you have another thing in your arsenal of just like what's out there. There's all sorts of different kinds of erbium lasers with nitrous and CO2 and IPL lasers, and just all different things for different skin types. So then you need to kind of learn a little bit about your different Fitzpatricks and what you can treat with those, and so
reviews and testimonials
just
and stuff.
educate yourself.
But organic ones, not the ones. Oh, here's 8 people you can talk to.
Yeah, like find another med spa that uses the device that's not a KOL, for example, that doesn't get paid to give you their opinion. That's a really good tip or whatever. Find some organic stuff that will give you a good idea if you really believe that machine is like for your clientele. So the other thing, I recently got treated at Aesthetic Next with the device, and my skin it was not amazing in the sense that when I got treated it was amazing because it was very hot and it was kind of painful and I look like a tiger. Look at my Instagram @InjectorSmiley to see and look back at some of my zebra.
Like a week ago or so.
Oh, it looked like a tiger. My face looked ridiculous. However, it all peeled off and now it looks great. I also attribute that to my skincare routine, other things, but
it was a solid week of I guess what people would consider downtime. I mean, most people would not have gone out in public like she did consistently when looking like that.
Yeah, no, I just don't care. But, well, and to be clear, the reps at the thing were like, and no shade on them, 2 days of downtime, and it won't hurt. Well, I didn't get any numbing, and a week later, I'm still looking like a tiger. So that was annoying.
But circling back, the point was, do you think your clientele,
yes,
are they willing to do that? And it's important to note who they are. There are people who are most certainly willing. They know they come in on a Tuesday to get this treatment. Whatever
they take off work.
They know they're not going to be able to go back to work. They're going to work from home. And we have more of that population now than ever, of course, with COVID.
Well, especially in Nashville. And then it's
a work from
totally
home.
Geographic.
Yeah. But we treat a lot of moms, quite frankly. Like we just have we're not targeting anybody, but our clientele is very, we just don't think that there would be a bunch of people who would be willing to literally be down for 7 days or go out in public looking like a tiger.
And not for a vanity reason, more so they just don't want that downtime. And like I said, the peeling, the tightness, a lot of it was uncomfortable. And
so much.
Know when you're choosing these devices or deciding about a device, I mean, financial responsibility, in my opinion, is number one. Because
absolutely number one.
You need
every
to
time.
understand, what you're getting yourself into.
Let's be clear. Financial responsibility, being financially responsible is number one if we're talking about business every time.
Right, especially always, and especially starting out, because some of these decisions, that $3,000 payment a month could be what sinks you. That it's not
going
to be
with
too
it, it'll
scary,
work
but,
out, or believing the rep that it's just $3,000 a month. That's just 2 clients, and it's like, yeah, you got to go get those 2 clients, and that can be really
that's
difficult.
a good one. They love to compare the monthly payment with how many clients it is.
6 clients.
Yeah, it's only
6.
4 clients a month, 1 a week.
If
and it's
you,
like, I
if
can
you
do
can't
that.
even get 6 Botox and 6 new Botox and filler clients
in a month, then don't
then
buy a machine.
It's probably not the right time.
Yeah.
It's probably not the right time. Unless you have a super healthy, mature client base. By mature, I don't mean you're 3 months into your business and you've seen 100 people. That is great, but they're not mature. They probably came to you because you
had a deal,
discount, or maybe you're great, who knows, or they followed, whatever. Mature is someone who's returned to you at least a second time, really even a third time for a service, because they do truly trust you as an injector or whatever, or they, the experience has been good. Those are mature. That's a mature
and you can
audience.
test out. So let's say you are early, test out with your clients. So you have 50 clients. Survey 50 of them, and hell, take a deposit before you sign that contract. And you could do some things to maybe protect yourself. But
it's kind of like having a purchase order.
Yeah, all in all, I mean, the thing with the devices is there are a ton. Sales people are really good at what they do. I mean, medical sales reps, device sales reps are really good. They typically are not new reps. They know what they're doing, and that's not to say they're always lying and stuff. It's just they know what they're doing, and they know how to get you excited. And they know how to treat you. Do your treatment and all these things.
Food.
Yeah, and so. Just that's kind of my spiel on services, and then just adding the one I think that matches your clientele the best, which is kind of what we did. We were selective in our company, but then also the devices that they offered when we were deciding which ones, because they have several different ones. The reasons we bought on each of the ones that we did were very specific to our clientele. So that's just really, really important.
In my perspective, it's the clinical. I trust her and all of them for the clinical decision. It is a lot of the relationship and the company. And there's a price, and then there's the negotiated price. I always encourage people to negotiate. You can get consumables thrown in for free.
Let's talk about consumables real quick.
Okay, so if you can get consumables thrown in, basically it's like commercial leases. It's always negotiable. And if it's not, I'm kind of like, because those things are marked up like 400%. So it's like, oh, that's the lowest we can go, and I'm like, but is it? I don't know.
Let's discuss that.
So that's not necessarily what you base it off of. But my biggest thing that I always tell people, and I tell it in our business hour in our class, shop. Again, I've said it before in these podcasts. As medical professionals, we are not good at shopping. And I don't mean shopping at the clothing store. I mean, we're used to going into the hospital, getting our patients. Here's the only Foley system we use. It's the only one we use in the hospital. Here's the only IV start kit we have. There is no shopping. We take what we get. The first person that comes to us with something, we're basically force-fed and have to use it. That is not what you're doing as part of your business. So when it comes to your services, whether that's the neurotoxin, the company, what is the cost of it landed in your hand? What do you typically see it charged for? For neurotoxin and fillers, those are pretty standard, but for lasers and stuff, not at all. It can be all over the map for what someone decides to charge or use. Then is there a consumable? Then what that means is if you have a Scarlett RF machine, which we love, by the way, the Scarlett microneedling machine with radio frequency, if the tips on those are, I think, $59 a pop.
No, I think they're 33.
33? Okay, whatever they are.
Like
I used to know. $33. So that cost is the cost of the machine, of course, but then the consumable is also going to cost you an additional $33 each time you use that pin, and so that needle is used. So you have to look at that when you're thinking about pricing, and some consumables patient costs will be
in the hundreds.
And it's like, okay, now I have to charge in the thousands to really realize a profit, and to realize a profit that's wide enough that I'm going to then pay off the $150,000 machine.
Yeah.
So there's some real considerations there, and it's nothing you want to jump into. And it's not that people are ignorant, they just don't know what they don't know when they're talking to reps, and they are not really offering up a lot of these questions. So if it is your first time making a purchase of that size, just like a car or something. I mean, you just want to go like do it. You like want to know, what is the warranty? Another really solid question.
Is there sales tax included in the price?
Yeah.
Probably
Is
not.
sales tax included in the offer price? It's a really
That
good
is
one.
sometimes left out. And
On machines, there is
that
sales
is tens
tax.
of thousands of
medical
dollars, so make
equipment.
sure
yes, and that will be your sales tax as it appears in your state, which if you're in Tennessee is a whopping 9.25% or 9.5. That's a lot of money on 150,000. A lot. So knowing the questions that you don't know, again, reach out, but it's thinking through the purchase as opposed to snap decision making and, I need to have it because I saw
to have it
on
all,
Instagram,
want to have it all.
want to have it
Yeah.
all. There's a lot of considerations. I want to say something on warranties real quick.
Okay.
On machines. They are typically a year on a lot of them. Those can be negotiated because what will happen is after a year, they will charge you. They will say, oh, if you want to keep this warranty, then it'll be $4,000 for the year. And they're like, warranties are super expensive. And I'm like, if your machine is worth anything, if it's of any quality, a year, like what, I mean, a car has a 10-year warranty for crying out loud, or a 5-year warranty. So it's one of the things that I always encourage you to push back on. Get that 1 year to 3 year. I don't think it's costing the company next to anything, so it's usually an easy win. If you can't win on anything else, because imagine at day 367 and the darn thing breaks, and you still
Can we talk about the fact that like a car is $50,000 and like a whatever machine's $100? I mean, it's just like,
Yeah,
But I'm
like
driving this car around that.
Yeah.
So talk about, I don't know everything about
Price
technology,
increases.
but markups on stuff.
Yeah, of course, cars.
Before I forget, really quick on the machines, brand recognition, and this is true on like everything, but it's really applicable to machines. So like Morpheus has a very powerful brand recognition in the aesthetic industry right now. And so, Morpheus, there are a lot of machines that are similar to Morpheus, but that one right now is just like they've done really well with their marketing. It's basically what's happened. Why is everybody using it? Why do I hear about it all the time? Really good marketing. I'm not going to speak to whether or not the machine is good or not. It's more just like, I just want everyone to be aware of it, just because, you see cool sculpting is another great example. We love cool sculpting. I stand by cool sculpting. I think it's amazing. I think that it works. We have proven results. I did it on my stomach. Love it. Oh my gosh. But really good brand recognition. They put a ton of money into marketing, and so it is out there everywhere. So while I stand by that brand, just realize that if you hear the same name all the time, sometimes it's solely because it's just brand recognition, or still stand by what Carla said about finding organic and real reviews.
Yeah.
And not just because, well, I saw on Instagram that 5 times, it's like they could be getting paid to put that on
Also,
Instagram.
you mentioned it
one
one time. You say Morpheus. I'm probably going to get at least 7
Yeah,
ads.
So
if that's
on
turned
stuff,
on
that's
on
totally
your
true.
phone.
So that's good to just know.
It's asking those questions. It's literally, clinically, do you want that type of device? And that's not the name. It's actually knowing, okay, you know what? I want an RF microneedling device. Okay, you've decided that is impactful. You want that. Then go pick 3 of them to get
5. I was going to say 5.
Yeah.
Find 5.
3 is always a minimum when you're shopping, and then yes, you can almost never go wrong. I mean, you can quote yourself to death if you're trying to get $100 here and there, but 3 to whatever limit, because it is your time, and that time is now money you've spent somewhere else. Always do. Why not get demos and lunches? Because why not? And it's a time to sit down and get to know that rep, because typically the rep will be the one that will bring the machine and do that, and that is going to be the person you work with until they turn over. So we really, really enjoy our reps with Allergan, with aesthetic management partners, with AMP. Like we really enjoy them. And
I said the same thing twice, but yeah.
That was,
AMP, aesthetic management partner.
Well, I just didn't, because we say AMP a lot. I wanted to make sure.
Yeah.
Thanks.
Oh, I see what you're saying.
Yeah. But we really enjoy them, and that is really important. If I'll be very transparent. If I haven't liked them, I'm like,
I don't want your device.
I'm like, I just
and
don't
in
like
here all
you.
the time. Yeah, that's a good point.
Yeah, so there's so many things that play into the choice of that particular service and when to add it on.
Yeah, for sure.
Financial responsibility first, and then asking all those questions kind of
match your
contractually.
client. Is it a good device based off of your research, not off of brand recognition and Instagram?
You know what else nurses and medical professionals are really bad at? We don't want to read a contract. We just assume terms and conditions are things that we're either not going to understand or just don't want to take the time to read that little tiny print. It's very frustrating. This is the most random trick. It was actually when I got my MBA, someone said this in one of my classes, to take a lot of the terms and conditions, like get them in PDF or something, and then it's literally the fine print that makes you not want to read it. It's a psychological play. Think about it.
Oh, because it's too small?
Yeah.
Ooh.
No one wants to read it. So to get that in PDF form or whatever form, and then literally zoom in.
Use an attorney, or always use an attorney, always. But you can put it in AI now and say, give me a layman's, like put a paragraph by term and say, describe this to me in layman's terms.
Yes.
Anything, and I'm not saying that's the only thing you do, but maybe if anything comes out as a yellow flag, red flag, read the paragraph yourself. And
the point is read the terms and conditions.
The point is read the contract.
Yeah, the point
You're
is
smart.
read the contract.
You're smart.
And
Smarter
see
than
what's
you think.
in there, because trust me, they will throw it back at you and be like, well, in your terms and conditions on page 612, and it's like,
and if they have a 612-page contract,
you might want to run away.
Yeah, get away from them.
You might want to run away.
Yeah.
It's like, what is in there?
Yeah.
And why?
That's another good point. I should let you talk more. Okay, so
Well, their services are only clinical.
injectables. We did like machines, and then I think the other thing is, so that we kind of talk to everybody. We don't offer our medical providers, our nurses and nurse practitioners, whoever, do like some of our facial stuff. We get our chemical peels through Allergan, which in Tennessee is the practice of medicine anyways. And then we have a facial device, a machine that does facials, but the esthetician stuff is also another service to consider. Like, do you want to have do you want to go to school? We have several nurses who have gone to esthetician school and now offer a lot of those services yourself.
Lashes.
Yeah,
all
but
that
a
stuff.
real plug on that. Lashes, like in the state of Tennessee, for example, you have to have certifications to do a lot of that stuff because of the chemicals that are used. So be leery of just
Leery.
leery.
Not
Oh
weary,
yeah, be
not tired.
leery. Sorry, I am weary. Be leery of offering a service that you're like, well, it's just lashes. There's no way it's medicine. You know, there are still rules surrounding what estheticians can and cannot do, what you have to be certified to do, you know, whatever. So those services are another thing to, if you're opening a brick and mortar and you have several rooms, perhaps you bring on an esthetician. That's not usually medical services, so commissions and some of those other things are allowed there.
Well, let's talk about that real quick. Bringing on versus a business. So again, back to adding services.
Well, now you're kind of getting out of services.
No. This is about adding services. You talk about bringing on an esthetician, like, because you mentioned also that some of our nurses have gone to esthetician school, and that I think is a lot when you're starting out to be able to offer all these services, or it's vice versa. They're estheticians who went to nursing school. Sure, no hating on any of that. That's great. If you are doing brick and mortar, or even if you're mobile or renting a room or whatever, that's why we talked about in our last podcast or a couple podcasts ago about renting a room in a beauty salon space or an established esthetician space. They have a client base, or they just bring in clients who are looking for the same services, lashes or
it's aesthetic
other
services.
things they do. Yeah, that match your clientele. So it's a very easy tactic. So I will say that people are like, well, bring one on. Is that, you mean employ? You don't, let's just move away from it. You having to employ somebody because of the value that particular position brings. It would be well worth it to even just rent a room to them, because you're bringing that clientele into this med spa where you have a wide array of services, but you yourself aren't having to offer those services.
Yeah, that's it.
And even keep your menu separate. I mean, you could have a link that says, here's other esthetician services we offer.
See her stuff.
Yeah, but you are literally getting to share and steal clients from each other, which is just fantastic.
Yeah, that's great. So, in summary, basically, to wrap all this up, it's just, I think our main points are like, with the injectables, is like, you don't have to offer every brand on the market. Please offer based on your training and your skill level, because the safety of your clients is the most important by far. Also, being aware that pretty much in every single state, regardless of, change my mind, being a medical provider, a registered nurse or higher, you can be an LPN with direct supervision is required. And so there's delegation laws surrounding, well, whatever the law says that, anybody can do it, there's still
You're veering off topic.
There's still laws around delegation. Well, I just want to be. So the services, okay. So you're right, not having to offer every single brand of each product, choosing the ones that you feel the best, do your research. Choose the ones that you feel are the best. For the injectable stuff, add them on based on your skill. For lasers and machines and different things, adding the biggest things is know your clientele. Choose one that you think your clientele will like the first. Do a little market research around your area, around the clients that you have. I love what she said about maybe waiting until you have some mature clients, because of some of that verbiage of like 2 clients a month. Well, 2 clients a month can be really challenging when you're first starting out. read contracts, ask about warranties, have an attorney read over your contract, negotiate.
Pricing.
Make sure you remember taxes and fees and what else are they going to tack on. Have very solid, very transparent, non-embarrassing for you conversations with them about ask it all and be forward and bold and this is, I really feel that your business can sometimes depend on this because if you can't make those sales, it can be just a lot of money a month.
And again, I always go back to the whole medical professionals and how we grow up in a hospital typically, or some kind of environment where we are the other side of things, where the customer is the person we're taking care of, and so we don't want confrontation. We don't want to sometimes say the difficult things, and this is just the exact opposite, where they want your business, so you get to ask those questions, but we still feel like we don't want to be confrontational and we don't want to all these things, and it's like, no, you're now on the other side of it where you absolutely have to do it.
Or here's a little tip. Once you figure out what type of device you want, before you talk to any rep, maybe set your own terms. Set what terms you're looking for that you can afford, that you're hoping to achieve, how many clients you think you can get in, maybe do that on the front end, and then present that to the 5 laser hair removal companies.
See if
anyone has something close to that.
That's a great idea.
That's a good idea to do for some of the newer people starting out or
I would
whatever.
have an idea of what the machines cost, so you don't.
Get that stuff.
Yeah.
And then just another summary on reps coming in. It's great. Like, I don't mind it at all. They bring stuff. They bring goodies. They you get to do treatments, but.
And then they can be your partners, right? Like
they can be your allies in your business growth, and
yes,
some of our reps are like our people, and I think that's important that she said, like, if you totally don't vibe and you're like, I would never want to talk to that person, I would not buy that machine even if you love the machine, or request another rep maybe, because that's like someone in your back pocket for your business, for everything, for it later. And then the brand recognition on some of these devices, just be aware that some companies can pour in millions of dollars into marketing, and then some companies cannot, and that doesn't necessarily mean the device is better or the other. So do your she said, organic research, and find other people not in your area using the machine. Call another city.
Call Dallas.
And just say, hey, I'm in Nashville and I'm looking to buy this machine and I really want some honest feedback. Are you a key opinion leader, a KOL? Are you getting paid to give me this? They should legally have to answer, I think. Maybe they don't, but hopefully they wouldn't lie. And then get their honest opinions on that. And then the last thing was the esthetician stuff, how you bring in the esthetician services, whether you're doing them yourself or you hire somebody or you rent a room or you just collaborate. You don't have to do anything. Just collaborate with them and share clients back and forth, because typically estheticians may not be able to inject, and you can't offer, like I said, some of their services. So simple collaboration with your hairstylist and your esthetician can be really sweet to even get you a few new clients, which is awesome.
Yeah.
I think that's good enough for services. Yeah. If you have any questions, once again, feedback, questions, comments.
Yeah.
It's just DM us.
Clarifications.
Yeah. Leave a comment.
Email.
Yeah.
Carla at SmileyAesthetics.com. Mary at SmileyAesthetics.com.
I'm at Injector Smiley. She's at C Smiley Injector. We probably should change your name.
Why?
I don't know, because you don't inject much anymore. You're kind of business. And then just so y'all know, Courtney, our chief legal officer, her Instagram is at Court Approved Aesthetics. Well, I just mean, I love, which is awesome. She recently changed
that is cute.
At Court Approved Aesthetics. Yeah. So her name's Courtney. And then we do put these podcasts on our Patreon. But if you're looking for some, like I said, more in-depth stuff, full videos, and really Carla diving into some, maybe even going through a contract or consents. We're putting consents and policy procedures, and Courtney is doing some compliance stuff that you won't find anywhere else. I argue I've not been able to find it on other Patreons and stuff. I think it's going to be super valuable, and just us trying to share things.
But if you don't want any of that and you just enjoy listening to me and Mary sit up here and talk and say things to each other, then at worst, if you could just give us a share, a like, a subscribe, whatever the case is. We think other people would like to listen to us sit here and talk. Maybe.
We'll see. Okay. And next week, Courtney is going to be here again, and we're going to actually film a podcast this time.
Yes.
So, or two, maybe, so we can, but hopefully we'll be right here, and we'll figure out what we're going to talk that focuses around compliance and stuff. So it'll be a really good one to come back and watch.
Tune into. All right. Thanks so much. Did we say,
I don't think we have an editing thing.
No, we don't, but did we say what it was called?
Yeah. Not just lip service is what we named this.
What
was
the name of this one?
Oh, what the podcast is called?
Yeah.
What services to choose for my med spa?
I guess it doesn't matter. Okay.
I don't know. I'll have to come up with the title.
Bye.
Okay.